All eyes on Washington, where major trade moves could come any day now on two fronts. Tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese imports. We're waiting for that at any moment. And the fate of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. So let's get some analysis with Afshin Molavi, a senior fellow at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. He's also co-founder of Emerge 85 Lab and editor at New Silk Road Monitor. So we're waiting for, this to come down, $200 billion, up to 25% tariffs on that. Do you see that as the biggest ramp up of this trade war so far? And does it push the trade war over the edge?
I think it certainly is the biggest ramp up. And does it push the trade war over there? It's hard to tell, where this is all going. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, you have a camp within the Trump administration that has become more hardline. There used to be forces that were softening the edges, so to speak, on the trade war with China. But it seems like the U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, it seems like his camp is leading the charge here. And they could keep taking this further and further. I mean, putting this into perspective, this is all happening at a time when the U.S. economy is doing well. Low unemployment, strong growth. And so the Trump administration may feel they have some wind behind their backs. But the flip side to that is this actually could end up hurting the U.S. economy in the long run.
Trump has said he's willing to go up to $500 billion. We'll have to see what happens there. But, in the last few weeks, we've seen hundreds of speakers turn up for these U.S. Trade Representative hearings. And it appears that really didn't do much of anything to sway minds.
Right. And not only that, Elaine, they have this comments period where they allow businesses to comment on the particular tariffs. And the early reports indicate that overwhelmingly, businesses were saying, okay, please take this tariff out and please take that tariff out. And this tariff is going to hurt U.S. consumers. It's going to hurt our businesses. And in fact, one of the interesting things is many of those who were making comments were saying the exact opposite of the stereotypical view of low-end manufacturing in China. They were saying, no, these are some pretty high-tech goods that we're importing from China at a reasonable cost that we can't get anywhere else. So it's certainly more complex than it is being painted as by the Trump administration.
Yeah, I want to mention that Cisco and Hewlett-Packard made some last-minute requests before the deadline ended on Thursday for that comment period. I want to get your thoughts on U.S. Canada NAFTA negotiations. They're meeting for another day today. That's also been something that has been going on parallel to what's happening with U.S.-China. What are your thoughts on a new NAFTA deal getting done with Mexico, U.S., and Canada?
Well, it seems that, just the latest reports we're seeing is that Canadian officials are saying that we're close. We're probably going to get to a deal, but we're probably not going to get to a deal in the next week or so. The latest reports are Canadian officials are being quoted as saying late September, perhaps. It was pretty extraordinary, though, that the Trump administration said, all right, we'll do this deal without Canada. There's still some sticking points. I think the political will is there in Ottawa to get a deal done with Washington, and we'll have to wait and see. But what will happen, of course, is if a deal is done on NAFTA, it seems like the European Union U.S. trade disputes are, the tensions are being lowered. That's going to allow the Trump administration, I think they're going to feel that they have more wind behind their back in this fight with China, and it could ramp up the trade fight with China.
About 15 seconds left. You have EU, as you mentioned, Canada, Mexico, China. Can they learn anything from each other, watching how the other deals with the United States in terms of trade and tariffs?
So much of this is being driven by President Donald Trump, and we all know he can be a mercurial figure. So it's going to be very difficult to learn. But I think the one thing they can learn is that you can do a deal. It's hard, it's a long slog, but deals can get done.
All right, Afshin Molavi, always appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.